So Jody, we talked a bit previously about high achievers and how they tend to neglect their wellness. And could you talk
Yeah.
about from like your experience? Uh, do you see a pattern in high achievers? Is there like something particular they tend to neglect?
Yes, for sure. There's definitely a pattern in high achievers, and these are the type of clients I will frequently meet with over and over again. Um, High achievers definitely really are concentrated on doing well at work, making sure that others know that they're on top of it. They will do long hours at extended periods of times, and what tends to happen is that, they are the likely group that will sort of suffer from, stress and burnout, right? And so, I wish there were some stats on this, and maybe there are, but you'll tend to see a lot of the times, the ones that tend to take like a stress leave are the ones that are the high achievers and the ones that really don't know when to stop, right? So, a high achiever is called a high achiever because, like they have that energy, that drive, that motivation to kind of like continue going. Um, but it's hard because it's like, don't know when to stop, right? Or put that balance in place. So, yeah, like what again, what tends to happen is that, yeah, they end up burning out, or they end up coming to see people like myself and, kind of wondering why they're experiencing some of the symptomology of it, right? And so they can kind of come in and say like they're, constantly thinking, they're wired, they can't sleep, they, are getting extremely negative, they can't focus. There's so many different symptomologies that's sort of in there, and some of the times they will end up, their body will like end up giving out and end up being like sick in some form of capacity, right? And I was having a conversation with a client the other day, and yeah, I was kind of just explaining to them how things sometimes happen when we're at that really high elevated levels of stress. It's either you have to stop going at the pace at which you're going, or your body will, right? Like there's no doubts about it. Our bodies and our minds aren't meant to be operating at 100% capacity all the time. So yeah, that really tends to be the pattern. It's like, there really isn't a problem like going until there is one, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I kind of work with high achievers to really help them understand their own patterns, as well as, helping, again, kind of unpacking some of those beliefs that we kind of have of like, that perfectionism and wanting to show people at our best, and wanting to be sort of have that expectation that they're always like, like the go-to person, but like what is usually lacking are those real boundaries in place, for when you need to have those boundaries of like the cutoff time for work, for example, right?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it can be really tricky, but it's really again kind of going back to unpacking like what is happening in their world where they feel like they need to continue like going. Like I don't know if you remember that old like Energizer Bunny commercial where it's like, the Energizer Bunny like keeps going, going, and then like yeah, it just never stops. So yeah, with high achievers, it's really hard, I would say, and usually they come to see me at, when they're at like that worst point where it's like something needs to change. Otherwise, something will happen. So yeah,
So would you say like they have trouble saying no to people?
Oh, 100% have trouble saying no to people. They tend to be, and I won't lump everybody in, but
Yeah.
a lot of the times, yeah, like it's a, wanting to be a very agreeable person, wanting to help others, but it's often at the detriment of themselves, and it's often at the detriment of not having good boundaries in place,
Yeah.
and even sort of like that art of delegation, right?
Mhm.
If somebody's sort of like giving you something that's out of scope, it's even learning to delegate and say like, listen, like this isn't in my scope, but maybe so and so might be able to kind of take it on, right? So